This video outlines the responsibility of the person or persons performing the range safety officer's position at every practice where live firing occurs at the Nioka shooting range. These duties must be followed by successive range officers during the conduct of any practice, and there must always be a person acting as the range officer, and that person is not to participate in any practice as a firer unless another person assumes range officer duties prior to them firing. To be clear, many of these responsibilities are required by law, so in order to keep the Nioka range compliant with current legislation and rules, these responsibilities must be carried out with no exceptions. Once you arrive at the range, contact range staff to ensure practice can start on the following mobile numbers. Matt on 0409 4577 60, Bob on 04555 26252, or Philip on 0419 195397. Then raise the red flags at the front gate and at the firing point of the range. Visually inspect the range using optics from the firing line or by driving down the range to ensure that there's no persons or livestock within the range boundaries, with particular attention paid to the cattle yards. Ensure that the first aid kit is in place and available for use. Get the sign-on book and waivers from the box on the range table at the firing point. Place any privately owned approved targetry in position as required. When the firers arrive, ensure that all firers sign both the attendance book and waivers. Check that their license is current for the category of firearm intended for use during the practice. Explain the layout of the range and the location of the copy of the approval and range standing orders, first aid box, emergency muster point, which is the front gate, and the actions in case of emergency and evacuation, which can be found in the range standing orders. Explain the conduct of the practice and targets to be used. Get firers to bring firearms to the rifle racks with breech open and muzzle upwards. Magazines may be fitted in the firearms. Firers can then prepare for the practice. When the practice is ready to start, instruct firers that they are to have one firearm and the appropriate ammunition on the firing line at a time. Conduct the practice. If a firer wishes to change firearms, the range officer must clear the firearm coming off the firing line and ensure that it is placed in the rifle racks. When the firers are finished or the practice is complete, the range officer is to inspect the firearms and declare clear. No firearm is to move off the firing line until cleared. The range officer may clear the firearms individually. Firers can then clear up their personal brass and remove their equipment from the firing line. The range officer will then ensure that all the firer's equipment, expended brass and unused ammunition is removed from the firing point at the completion of firing. Then remove any targetry that's not supplied by the range staff and ensure that it's removed from the range. Put the attendance book and signed waivers in the grey metal box and ensure the lid is closed. Contact range staff to advise them firing is now complete. Lower the flags and close the gate on leaving.